Welcome to Boys in the Hood TV. Today we tapping into the streets of LA, and we're gonna be talking about the war between the Rollin 30 Harlem Crips and the Rollin 40s, and how it took the life of a gang member who had turned his life around. Now the Rollin 30 Harlems, aka Dirt Gang, are a predominantly African-American street gang from South LA near Jefferson Park. Now they are one of the larger Crip sets in LA behind the 60s. Now the 30s are cool with the Rollin old cars and the neighborhood Crips. They are also cool with Grape Street, East Coast, and many other gangs. Now they beef heavily with the Rollin 20 Bloods and the Black P Stones. Now the Rollin 40s, aka Spody Gang, are also a predominantly African-American street gang from South LA, whose neighborhood runs from Vernon Avenue to Lemert between Crenshaw and Figueroa Ave. Just like the 30s, 40s are allied with the neighborhood Crips, and they are also a part of the Rollin O car. They also feud with the Rollin 20 neighborhood Bloods and the Black P Stones and other rival Crip gangs like the 5-1 Trouble Gangster Crips. But in the mid-90s, tensions would start to build between the 30s and the 40s. Now the exact cause of this is unclear, but there will be many squabbles here and there between both gangs.
Because back then, that's when they was having the King Parade. You know, I was part of that shit when the King Parade used to come to Vermont. We had a big ass rumble with the 30s right there on King in Vermont. They all know that was me in that 22 jersey. They know, and that Emmitt Smith jersey, that was me.
But at some point in time, the 30s will link up with the Hoovers and the 5-1 Trouble Gangster Crips, and they will be called Triple H, which stood for Harlem, Hoovers, and Halldale. Now obviously with these three linking up, this would only intensify the beef between the 40s and the 30s. And by early 2000s, things would turn fatal.
Nah, it was just like squabbles and shit. You know what I'm saying? Little scrimmages and all that. You know, they killed the homie Murdoch, and then they shot the homie 4 Extras, man. They paralyzed the homie 4 Extras, man. Right there on King and shit, man. When that shit happened, it was just going all the way up and shit, niggas.
On June 4th, 2003, two Rollin 40 Crips, Londale Murdoch Jr., aka Big Murdoch, and Kevin Rhodes were on their way back from a nearby liquor store at the corner of 4300 and Bud Long Avenue, which is directly in the 40 set. Now, Big Murdoch had taken a step away from gangbanging and decided to focus on his family life. At the time, he had 2 young boys, and he wanted to make sure that they were raised right. And also, for the past 3 years, he worked as a janitor at the Ronald Reagan State Building in downtown LA. Now, this day, he was preparing to go to work, but he wanted to grab some from the store along with his homie. Now, at around 2 p.m., as they walked the block, 2 members of the Rollin 30s pulled up, 23-year-old Shaw Lewis and 24-year-old Kevin Jordan. Lewis would hop out the passenger seat, and Jordan would hop out the driver's side of the car. Both men would then approach Murdoch and Rhodes. Immediately, they began to press them, asking them where they was from. Words would be exchanged, and that's when Lewis would pull out a 4.5, and Murdoch and Rhodes would take off running in different directions. Lewis would start to chase directly after Murdoch and take aim, and he started firing. Murdoch was hit once in his back as he collapsed to the ground. Lewis would then walk over to Murdoch and stand over him and hit him multiple times in his head, killing him. Now, only a block away was a patrol car passing by, and Officer Herrera would see Lewis standing over Murdoch's body. Now, before hopping back in the car, Lewis would see 2 women sitting on the porch who had witnessed the murder, and he would take aim at them and then start blasting. He would shoot both women. Afterwards, he jumped back in the car, and he and Jordan fled the scene. But they won't get too far because the police will be right behind them. This police chase would last nearly 20 minutes as Jordan, who was driving the car, was running through red lights and going through stop signs. At some point in time, Jordan would drive down 38 in Western, losing control of the car, swerving and crashing into a tree. Now both Jordan and Lewis would hop out the car and start running. While being chased, Lewis would turn around and he would reach in his waistband as if he was going for the 4.5. Eventually, they would make their way down the alleyway, but there was only one way out. This would lead them to surrendering, and both Lewis and Jordan would be arrested. Now, back on Bud Long Avenue, police would be seen taping off the crime scene as they covered 33-year-old Murdoch's body with white sheets. His family members would shortly arrive afterwards. Now, both women who were shot on a nearby porch, they'll be transferred to Martin Luther King Hospital, and they will recover from their injuries. Now, by 2004, the trial for the murder of Big Murdoch would be held. Both Lewis and Jordan would enter a plea of not guilty. Now, during the trial, Officer Herrera would testify that they witnessed Lewis stand over Murdoch's body and murder him. Eventually, by the end of the trial, Both men will be found guilty. Kevin Jordan will be sentenced to 153 years in prison, and Shaw Lewis will be sentenced to life in prison for the murder, plus 120 years for 3 counts of attempted murder. Now, this violent war between the 40s and the 30s will continue out the years, up until the death of OG Tookie Williams. Now, during his funeral, the 40s and 30s, who all were in attendance, will come together and they will make a truce to stop all Crip-on-Crip violence against one another.
Homies got together, because they was at the funeral. My was right there at the funeral. They was on the front page and all that, but I guess, you know, they squashed the beef with all Crips. That was in 05.
I would like to thank everybody for tapping in, and I'll see y'all next time.